If you'd like to contact the show, send us an email at liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com or get involved in the conversation on social media. Join the Pearl Jam Podcast community group on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at liveonfourlegspod.
We got some new songs for you. It's about fucking time. We got some new songs for you. And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Gentlemen! Mama Creed. Matt fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Welcome to Live on Four Legs, the definitive live Pearl Jam podcast. Again, this week, you may not be used to hearing my voice this early in the show. I am John Farrar. Randy Sobel is still on paternity leave. He and his wife and child are doing great. Again, thanks everyone for all the well wishes and the congratulations. I'm sure he'll be back before too long, and we'll get an update from him. But in the meantime, you're here with me again, and last week, I was so thankful to have Brandon from the Better Band podcast on. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. This week, I've got another co-host, and this one's actually, we're going back to the early days of Live on Four Legs. We're happy to welcome Mr. Matt Helbig to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Very happy to fill in for Randy, who, as most of you know, I've known since second grade. So I couldn't be more happy for them over there having their beautiful baby, and I would like to meet the baby soon too. So
I think I'm going to try to not call you Uncle Matt for the duration of this. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, that's totally fine. I love that. I've been an uncle for about 7 or 8 years, 3 times over. So a fourth, right, I welcome it. Totally fine.
Excellent. So the show that we're doing today is it's kind of an interesting one. It was a request from one of our patrons, Chris Davis, and we are going to be doing Pittsburgh 2013. And I believe this was Chris's first show, and we're going to get to him in just a second. But first off, let's talk about this a little bit, because this was kind of the beginning of the Lightning Bolt era. Like, this is the first show coming off of the Wrigley show in 2013, which was obviously, very important, very iconic for a lot of different reasons. And here we are starting this tour in Pittsburgh. What did you come into this show thinking?
Exactly that. It's the kickoff. It's going to be. I guess I don't want to say kinks will get worked out set wise, but I kind of saw that happening here a little bit, where some things may be a little strange, some things are pretty cool, but they're super fresh, they're super tight. It's a great sounding show, but yeah, it's full of live debuts too, which is always fun.
Absolutely.
Of course, now in 2021, it's like not really that exciting when you get like a Sirens live debut, because it's not like a super rare one or one that you chase or anything like that. Some people do, but it's cool to go back and see them say, oh, this is our first time or something like that. Even if it's just a song like Sirens, it's still pretty cool to hear that first one, and in such good quality too. We're very lucky to have that as well. So yeah, a lot of things like that. There's a lot of that here because, like you said, it's the first show. It's the first one they're out on, and so yeah, we got some talking points. We could discuss how we feel about their first performances of these songs that, we haven't really been around that long, but it's still fun to talk about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, last week we did the Seattle 98 and that was a tour leg closer. And here we're back with a tour leg opener. So going to be a lot of different
Right.
different things to talk about. But yeah, we've got a lot of debuts. We've also got the last performance of a song to date that we'll talk about as well once we get into it. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But before we get into the show, I do want to take a moment here. Let's hear from our patron Chris, and let's hear him talk about the show a little bit and his experience.
Oh, it was I got the seats through the 10 Club because they had the lottery at that time, and I signed up for Buffalo and Pittsburgh, and I don't remember the other city that I signed up for. But I got tickets to the Pittsburgh show, and I wasn't in the GA section. I was on the floor, but it was seated, and
Okay.
we were about half. I don't know, a third of the way back, maybe halfway back. But it was so cool because it was like I listened to these guys, and everything was 3D then. It was like, this is awesome. So
What was it like? Like, are there certain things from that show that you remember, or any moments that stand out?
I remember, like, before the show, everybody was kind of like, we were all like joking around what the opener was going to be. One guy said it was going to be released. Another guy had said it was going to be, Of the Girl, actually, be honest with you.
Oh wow, they did play that too.
Yeah. And I picked Long Road, and but when they opened it up, it was like Pendulum, and we'd never heard that song before, so it was cool. And then
you got a lot of lightning bolt debuts at that show.
Yeah, and I went to the Buffalo show the next night, so I basically heard pretty much the whole Lightning Bolt album between those two shows, except for the song "Sleeping by Myself."
That's right.
So
what was going through your head when you finally got to see them? What was that experience like?
Oh, it was something I had been waiting for a long time. I had started following the band like seriously, like I am now, around 2009. I'd listened to them, growing up, and it was like around the Backspacer, when Backspacer came out. I just kind of got sunk into them, and it just, I was like a dog to a bone. So
Yeah, awesome.
I was supposed to see him in Cleveland. I live in Cleveland, and I was supposed to see him in 2010, but the date, it happened to be on Mother's Day, and I wasn't allowed to go. So
Oh, no. That's how it goes. So what was the atmosphere like inside the venue in Pittsburgh? Was there like was it like, because the crowd from that show sounds awesome. Do you remember like what it was kind of like hearing everybody sing along to some great sing-alongs on like Better Man, Nothing Man, Small Town?
Yeah, everybody's really pumped up. It was the first night of the tour, so everybody was really looking forward to the show starting, and there was a lot of energy in the room that night.
And thanks to Chris for that story, where I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of that stuff as we go along. But let's get right into it. So we're getting 2013. We're kicking it off here, and it seems it doesn't seem like it stands out very much getting Pendulum to open a 2013 show. But like you said, this is the debut.
Can't know what's high till you've been down so low. The future's bright, lit up with nowhere to go. To and fro, the pendulum We are here and then we go. My shadow left me long ago.
It seems like it's already there. Like Mike's already using the bow to play. Ed's already into it. Stone's doing a shuffle. What did you think of this as a debut?
Yeah, my one note on this was, I remember what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to forget this, and that it was Stone was feeling every note that he played.
Yeah.
He was so into this, and yeah, no, this is. You play this and you say this is a tour debut. This sounds like it's been around forever, and you kind of get the sense from the tracks in the video where, that intro comes into it, and people are like, oh, like this is going to be their opener now. I didn't expect this, and it's amazing. I could see people being taken by surprise by it because it's so ominous in the beginning and such a different kind of take for an opener, and it's fantastic. And you could, it's like you see the birth of this and why it stuck, because it was so perfect and it worked so well. And maybe they took a risk with it. Maybe they kind of, rolled the dice with it. And thank God they did, because it's unbelievable, and I love it when they do it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would fit anywhere else. Like, you can't just throw this in between, two random ones in the middle of the set. It's
exactly.
It's such a moody kind of song that it almost needs to be separated from things a little bit. Like, it needs to open an encore or open a show. Or,
Right.
Yeah, it would be interesting to even close in an encore or something. Not close a show, but kind of like Indifference, kind of like a moody way to close things out.
I agree. Yeah, and maybe they were running this in rehearsals and stuff, and they said, well, we want to do this, and I think we kind of screwed ourselves. There's one spot for it, and it's going to be the opener, and they did it, and it's a favorite of mine. I know you love it, so.
I do. It's one of the ones on Lightning Bolt that I think has aged better than some of the other ones on there.
Yeah,
and
especially live.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because they originally, it was written around the Backspacer time, and I think it would have made that album so much more different and so much more interesting if something like this had been on there. But it just didn't fit the mood. But yeah, I'm glad they kept it around for Lightning Bolt because it's so different. I think it almost kind of set the stage for a lot of the stuff you hear on Gigaton, like a lot of the soundscapes and different atmospheric things that you get a lot on Gigaton. I think a lot of that goes back to Pendulum. So after Pendulum, we get a little section here, and you would think, being the first night of tour, you're gonna get pretty standard set lists. Like, you're not gonna get anything, super rare broken out. But here we are with Of the Girl starting off this little set. You get Of the Girl, Nothing Man, and Small Town here. And I thought Of the Girl was great following up Pendulum. I think that's a really good 1-2 punch to start a show.
Yeah, the transition here was perfect. And, we'll take Of the Girl anywhere, but the transition was fantastic. The stage looked really cool at this point too. The the kind of yellow orange lights come up, and it's such a different mood from the song before, and they sound fantastic on it. It's a great version, and you could tell they're ready to go here.
Yeah, Mike kind of goes off the script a little bit on the solo. He kind of just lets it rip. Love that Of the Girl solo. It's in the modern times, it's kind of become a really good highlight, and the crowd's going along with it.
Yeah, but he's got a couple rippers on this one too that I noticed that were, not out of character, but definitely just like a moment maker for a few times in this show.
Yeah, and the crowd too. Again, the crowd starts clapping into Of the Girl.
Yeah, the crowd is unbelievable at this show.
Absolutely, and in Nothing Man, Ed just gives it to them and says, "Here, take it."
Into the sun. Burn, burn, oh, burn. Nothing there. Isn't that something? Nothing there.
I thought too it was interesting that Nothing Man shows up here because I was listening and Nothing Man has that line, caught a bolt of lightning. I thought that might have been thrown in on purpose to like, hey, Lightning Bolt Tour, caught a bolt of lightning. Let's make sure that one gets played. I wonder if that was a little sly nod to the album there. But then, yeah, great moment in Nothing Man when Ed throws it to the crowd, and then Small Town, you get the big sing along that you're getting everybody into it. Very, very good.
Yeah. I was kind of this is so the one issue that I had with this show, which it's not even that bad because we'll get to it at the end, but this is where it kind of started to get weird for me with placement and Nothing Man. Of course, I've said it before. You could give that to me anywhere. I don't care where it is. Just give me. You could do Nothing Man like right in the middle of a stoner rock set, and I'm gonna love it. Yeah. And I thought Matt's vocals. By the way, I'm going to be talking about Cameron a lot on this. I loved Cameron at this show. His vocals sound fantastic on this. And then with Elderly Woman, I feel like it's a good placement because the crowd makes it such a moment here. It's such a big point of the show, but it's like it was the Nothing Man, Elderly Woman after Of the Girl. I think I wanted it to just ramp up a little bit more than it did. The Elderly Woman, though, the moment saved it for me. That really kind of brought it all together. But I felt like kind of halfway through Elderly Woman after Nothing Man, I was like simply listening to Elderly Woman just to get through Elderly Woman. Like I was trying to like figure out if that crowd moment was wasted so early on here. But I'd like to think no, because the crowd, I'm sure if I was there, I'd be like, absolutely not. It was perfect. That's what I'm reading from them. So this was just coming from like a listener standpoint, and that's really all I had on it because everything else is spot on.
Yeah, I think Small Town was put there as kind of like, after Of the Girl and Nothing Man, we need something that's going to be a big crowd moment because those are not like kind of crowd favorite songs. They're a little more obscure. But Nothing Man, I think they're wrong in that. I think Nothing Man is, people love that song. I think it's one of the most underrated songs that they have. It, like I said, it turns into a big sing along when Ed lets the crowd sing, and I think that's fantastic. They should play it every show.
Yes.
And speaking of Small Town, I think it's kind of interesting too because no corduroy at this show. This seems like it would be the perfect spot to throw in like a corduroy to get everything amped up, but no corduroy here.
Yeah. We get something else, which I'm not a huge fan of, but
yeah. So Ed comes on after and makes a toast.
Thanks for being here on the first night of our tour. And I'm so happy to be able to say it's great to be in the city of champions. We got some new songs for you. It's about fucking time. We got some new songs for you. And it's been, I don't know how, but it's 7 years since we played in Pittsburgh, so it's about fucking time we got back to Pittsburgh as well. And for those of you who don't like the person with the microphone to cuss all the time, I'm sorry about that. I've already fucked up. Sorry. But we did invest in an extra large bottle of wine for this evening. And again, it sure is nice to see all of you here from the back to the front. Thanks for making it. This one's called Lightning Bolt.
And that leads us into Lightning Bolt, the song, not the debut. This is actually the second time they played it. And a little section here, the Lightning Bolt, Mind Your Manners combo that we would come to know and love.
Right. I never liked the song Lightning Bolt, but this is a really good version. I'll say that. It really picks up that bit, the slower build after Small Town. The slower build of Lightning Bolt, which I usually don't really, that's the part I don't really like. I don't really like that part or the chorus, because it kind of takes a while to get there. But this is kind of using that properly, where you could really build that up. The tempo's perfect. This was another one where I thought Mike's solo here was really good.
It's interesting because Stone starts with the lead.
Yes.
And then passes it to Mike, like seamlessly. Mike just kind of transitions over to Mike, and it sounds really good. I like this version a lot.
Yeah, and I wrote down I didn't want to critique like the placement of this song too much. Listening back on it from 2021,
that's not your style.
Right? No, not at all. But I didn't want to do it, as a 2021 listener. I wanted to keep as open of a mind as a 2013, showgoer, where this song, the transition's really good here, and the performance is fantastic, especially for a new song. So, I don't like the song, but I love the performance. I just don't know if this the placement it's still kind of a little shaky for me, but
this would kind of be the spot. Like
it would.
It either comes here or it comes after the little punk rock section. That Lightning Bolt, Mind Your Manners is kind of like the transitionary point into kind of the middle of the set. But I want to talk about this version a little bit, because for a relatively simple, kind of straightforward verse chorus bridge song, there's a lot going on in this song. It's kind of like organized chaos a little bit. It's kind of deceptively sneaky, a really good song. I think it's become a lot like Pendulum. It's become one of the better live songs on this record. Like, what do you think about that? Being like coming from a musician point of view, does it sound like there's like a lot of stuff going on this? It feels like it's a little more complex than people give it credit for.
And we're talking about Lightning Bolt, right?
Yes.
I definitely agree. I mean, Cameron's got to keep a perfect tempo in the beginning there, which he's fantastic at. That build that I'm talking about, it's if you drop that tempo, all of a sudden you're going to notice it right away. If you speed it up, if you slow it down, it's going to sound like shit. And he doesn't do that here. He never does that. It's always perfectly kept. It's never too fast. It's never too slow. Eddie keeps up with it, with the drum part. I guess I always thought it wasn't that catchy, but you're right. There is a lot of stuff going on. It's when you watch Ed, playing this and singing it at the same time, like he's power chording all up and down the neck, like the whole time in the choruses. Like he's doing a lot of work in this song. So they didn't make, it's a single, it's the title track, but they didn't make it easy for themselves on this song, and they kept it around forever. So. No. There's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of Pearl Jam songs where it's like, oh yeah, like those guys that did Even Flow, but like even Even Flow has a lot going on. Like they're really good at that, and they're really good at making singles and making like arena rock hits and songs that stay around for a long time that aren't your just basic 4-chord progression. There's
I think that's
always something in there.
Give Stone all the credit, because he's so good at those subtle little rhythms.
Yeah, you always picture
Yeah.
Stone like when they're writing a song, like he's just in the corner like plotting, you know?
Right.
What's he gonna do?
He's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this one up.
I'm gonna fuck this up.
We should mention Mind Your Manners too. It's interesting, like right when it starts, someone yells out the title very loudly.
Mind your manners!
I wasn't sure if it was Ed or
I know,
someone
yeah,
else.
I couldn't tell. But
'Cause-
also a really good early version, only the third version. So yeah, just straightforward, rock and roll, Dead Kennedy style.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I loved this version. Again, Cameron, his drums are so tight. He sounds like a recording that his drums are so unbelievably tight, and they're mixed so well too. They're really punchy. And I normally disagree with you guys on this song. When I listen, I say, and a lot of people do agree with you, where they say, maybe Mind Your Manners doesn't really have a place, and it's tough to place it, and it's always kind of weird when it comes up. And I always said, absolutely not. Give me Mind Your Manners. It's a quick burn. You get it over with. Who cares where it's put?
Yeah,
but
it's like less than 2 minutes sometimes. It barely breaks 2 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes. But you know what? Even though it's like appropriate here, it almost felt like it was too soon. Like it was like, Lightning Bolt and Mind Your Manners on paper, it makes perfect sense. And I listened to it twice through, and I'm like, I think they could have maybe switched this a little bit and done Mind Your Manners somewhere else. So I actually agree with you on your original point on this one, and now it doesn't seem like you mind it in this place at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think with it being this early, I think they knew that these two songs worked well together.
Yeah.
And then I didn't pull up the stats, but probably at least 75% of the time in this tour, you were getting them back to back like this.
Right.
And I think, I don't think they, like you said, I don't think they knew what to do with Mind Your Manners on its own. And just putting it with this one kind of gives it a little anchor. It can kind of anchor to Lightning Bolt, and okay, these two are kind of together.
Yeah, especially since it was a single, but it's pretty different, from other songs on the album that are going to stick around and be around for the long run. So, when you get songs that are similar like that work well together or work well in the set with your, with 28, 29, 30 other songs. And then you have your single Mind Your Manners that was like written with this idea in mind of saying, let's just fucking go crazy with this one. It's like, well, what do we do with it now? But I like that. I like that little change of pace where you could burn through a single in 2 minutes, and it's just like it's just crazy on stage. But yeah, I don't think Lightning Bolt and Mind Your Manners have to be together. I get it. I understand why they would do it, and why they do it. But yeah, it threw me off a little bit. But it was such an amazing version. Such an amazing version. Everything so far has been a 10, performance-wise.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see when the shows come back what are going to be the two songs from Gigaton, or they're going to be like this, the two that are going to be kind of paired together up in the shows. I wonder if that's something that they're going to keep doing.
Yeah. And also, like, what as the shows go on, depending on how far ahead they think of set lists and, what they plan on throwing in every night, like, okay, well, everything's going to be different all the time, but, like, we're going to plan on these, like, 6 all the time for the whole tour.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if maybe things don't work as well, and maybe if things start getting replaced, and halfway through you're like, hey, where'd that song go? Like, it seemed like it was going to be on the whole time. And and I don't want that to happen, because I absolutely adore Gigaton, but there are some songs on there where it's like, is this going to work? And I'm very excited to see. And I hope they all work, because I love them all so much. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So yeah, Mind Your Manners leads us into a little bit of the mini punk rock section here, which is kind of late for the show. We get into Animal, Got Some, and then we build it up a little bit with Given to Fly. And here we got the crowd getting back into it a little bit on these. What'd you think?
Yeah. Also, just 3 perfect performances here. But this is again where the set list placement is getting me a little strange. And I wrote in my notes that it sounds unbelievable, but say you don't change the beginning, the slower burn there, and you have this wonderful moment with Small Town, and everyone was really pumped. I think it would have worked a lot better for me if Eddie didn't address the crowd after Small Town, and if they played This Animal there. I think I would have been a lot happier.
Okay.
Yeah, this one stuck out like a sore thumb to me. I thought this was strange. And same with Got Some. Like, I just can't put my finger on these placements. Everyone's loving it. And I always like Got Some live. I've kind of grown out of it, but I still like it. But
it's a fun song. Yeah,
it's fun.
Crowd's into it, clapping.
The crowd on the floor in the pit there are like, they're like grabbing for the stage during Got Some. Like they wanted this. They got some for sure, because they apparently were keyed up for this, because I guess they hadn't seen it live. And
yeah, and Ed acknowledges him too. He points him out.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, this was weird. I feel like maybe Got Some could have been maybe where Lightning Bolt is. Like, if you do Animal, Got Some instead of Lightning Bolt, Mind Your Manners earlier on. I feel like Lightning Bolt should have been saved a little bit. But
you got to think too with these early songs, the Lightning Bolt songs, they're still. And we go through this a lot when we go through these early kind of tours on these albums. Like, they're trying to figure this out like on the fly, because they don't know how these songs are going to translate live.
Yeah.
They're still figuring it out. Like, yeah, they're like, hey, if we stick Lightning Bolt and Mind Your Manners in here, it might work, it might not work. And and as the tours go on, you kind of things kind of fall into place a little bit, and they're so good at recognizing that and reading the reactions of the crowds and seeing what's going to happen and moving things around to get the perfect balance. But we're not quite there at this one. So,
and as we know, like, they're a band that they'll go into rehearsals, but they're not a band where Cameron has the set list written down on his snare drum, and they do the same thing, minus a few changes, here and there each night. You go see some of your favorite bands from when you were younger, and you're guaranteed to pretty much get the exact same set with maybe a slight change in one or two songs for the entire tour, because they go in and they rehearse the tour. They rehearse their set list for a year-long tour.
Down to the banter and everything. That's
not Pearl Jam. That's what Incubus does now, but Pearl Jam does not do that. So, yeah, like, I think
throwing some shade on Incubus. I like it.
Listen,
fuck you, Incubus.
I love Incubus, and I think they're still fantastic live, but it's not someone you're going to go follow, because you're not getting that much of a change night to night.
Yeah, you can see him once a tour, and you've seen it.
Which is what I do, and then you're good to go. So yeah, it's like it's a weird set. It's a weird set one, I will say. But it's interesting to see it evolve. And listen, I'm not going to fault them for being like, every night's different. We're not gonna rehearse a tour, like, because that's lame, So it's just a small critique. It didn't ruin the show. It was a strange listen, It was a bit of a journey.
Well, here's a little section that I think you're going to really like. We get a little Yield mini set here.
Yes.
Starting with Given to Fly, leading into Untitled MFC and Faithful.
And I
thought this was a fantastic Given to Fly.
This is great. I wrote on Given to Fly, I said this is almost like a return to normalcy here, like feel-wise, flow-wise. It's kind of like a set refresh, and it's just an absolutely solid version. It's not too fast. Cameron is...
And we mentioned... we mentioned no corduroy. There's no even flow here. This would normally be the even flow spot.
Just glazed right over it,
here.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice that at first because of this kind of strange order to this set. I'm like, it wasn't until yesterday I was looking through it, and I was just going through my notes again, and I was like, I'm missing something here, But yeah, Cameron's perfect on this. He's driving this Given to Fly forward strong, but he's keeping an excellent tempo, excellent pace. And Stone's feeling this one. He's doing his like backwards jumps and his shuffles on this one too. That really awkward kind of stiff leg kind of backward shuffle he does.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you know why? Because the tempo and the pace and the feel and just like the fullness of the song, it looked like it got to him, and it would have gotten to me too. It induced that that energy in him, and it was great. I loved it.
It's got
This is
that really
fantastic.
soaring, triumphant kind of feel to it.
Floating back down 'cause he wanted to share his key to the locks on the chains that he store everywhere. Oh, but first he was stripped, and then he was stabbed by a faceless man. Yeah, fucker, he still stares. And he still gives his love, he just gives it away. The love he receives is the love that is saved. Yeah. Sometimes I see this strange spot in the sky, a human being that was given to the
I'm telling you, it's all about Cameron's pace on this.
Yeah.
And for a lot of these songs, it's about how well Matt is playing the show.
And Ed even goes to the back to sing the second verse. Like you kind of get a little hint of what would be to come when they would start playing, start turning around to the back to play a song to
Right.
start out the encore, start out the second encore.
Yep.
He's back there giving a nod to those people. So yeah, very cool. And then this Untitled MFC, also really good. I thought this Untitled had a little bit of kind of a Springsteen feel to it. He does
mention the boss too.
He does say 21 minutes, which is an homage to Roberto Clemente for the Pearl Jam numerologist out there. Anytime you get a 21 in Pittsburgh, that's going to be a Roberto Clemente reference. And yeah, I thought MFC and Faithful very, very good. That sometimes I talk about how the surge you can feel when kind of everyone in the band is pushing. And there's a really good surge in Faithful as well. I thought these are all excellent performances.
Yeah. I'm really glad you said that. Just to really quick on Untitled MSC, I said the transition out of Given to Fly was flawless too. That needs to be done more. And the vibe here really took a change for me, where I'm really feeling this now. I loved the very subdued na-nas in the beginning, and then the full out na-na-na-na-nas, always happy to have.
In MFC?
In MFC, yep.
Okay.
Always happy to have. I was afraid when he did it nice and light the first time that was all we were going to get, but just listen through.
That's funny because Brandon mentioned that last week too. We had MFC last week and we talked. So that's becoming a recurring thing on this.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm going to be on my drive today. I saved last week's episode. Today's Sunday. We're recording this. I saved Wednesdays for today because I knew I was going to have a little bit of a drive, and it's good to listen to. So, so for Faithful, this was never a favorite of mine. It was just a little dry for me live, and I always thought maybe something better could have gone in. But this version gets going, and it gets going really quick. And you said there was like this drive behind it, and the pre-chorus and chorus on this version is I think better than any one that I've heard. It's so good.
So faithful, we all believe, we all believe.
I don't know if it completely converted me to like a faithful lover, but if I got this version, yeah, I think that would happen, because the intros and the verses I always kind of found just uninteresting. But this version is like woken up. I loved it, and I think Randy might listen back and be like, I wish I was on this episode. Like Matt loves everything on this episode.
Yeah, like we had kind of built. we were kind of building this up because you and I are very different have different kind of Pearl Jam fans. Like we have differing opinions on a lot of things regarding this band. So we were kind of thinking we would build this up as like, oh, the big the big rivalry.
Like, yeah,
we were gonna do like a tail of the tape, and like it's gonna be coming to blows and all that stuff. But I think we're agreeing on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. There's some things that I do disagree on, but on this show, but it's not going to be performance. I'll leave it at that for now. Performance is perfect.
We have another debut here. Ed comes on and talks about there was a tragic accident, and I looked a little bit. I wasn't able to find anything. Evidently, there was someone who had worked in radio locally who had interviewed him on a bridge one time, and he had recently passed away, which leads us into the debut of Sirens. And again, Ed's got the 21 on the acoustic guitar. Boom's wearing the 21 shirt tonight, so a lot of Clemente Pittsburgh references there. And I thought this was really. Ed was really feeling this version of Sirens. He was really into it. I don't know if it was because of the dedication and what he talked about, but I thought he was really strong on this.
Ed was so good on this. This is the Sirens. I don't care where it is. I wouldn't really say it's like a chameleon of a song, but I'll take it here for sure. And this version's my favorite kind. It's like that smooth and light, but it's really tight, and it really picks up. But when it picks up, it stays smooth. It stays clean. It stays buttery. It stays kind of in that pocket. And perfect drumming here. The lyrics and the way Eddie sings along to like the rhythm in this song is important, and it really brings it home on this one. And what's really funny that I noticed, and I always kind of forget, and it always kind of takes me back, is that it's funny seeing Mike on the acoustic in the beginning, but the transition where Mike takes the 12-string off, he gets the Gretsch for the solo, which was a fantastic solo here, also super clean. And then Ed gets the 12-string for the outro. That transition here was unnoticeable. It was absolutely perfect. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, I remember when the song came out, because there was the video, and you see the guitar switch in the video. So I think that was a big thing that people were looking for. Like, how are they going to do that? Like, is they going to switch guitars mid-song? And they do.
They do,
like,
and it's
again,
perfect.
Shout out to the techs who make that happen. Like, they are on the ball.
Yeah, it is. It's seamless. It's flawless. It was great. And again, it was like seeing it for the first time in the video. I was like, oh yeah, like, oh, that was so good. There was no like misstep. There was no like, quarter-inch cable getting plugged in and popping. There was no little strum to make sure everything was going. Right into it. Perfect. Yeah,
really good version of Sirens here. Now, we've talked about a lot of debuts, and I mentioned it earlier in the intro. This is Unemployable here, and this is the last performance of Unemployable that they have played to date. Something about this made it they have not gone back to it since this show.
It's a song that I love, of course. A song, again, it's played very well here.
You and your avocado songs.
Of course, I just can't, I don't want to say anything about it, but I don't know if they were turned off for the reason I was turned off. It's really just not interesting in this set. I don't feel like it added anything to the set. Mm-hmm. And I hope they weren't like, this isn't going to add anything to any set ever, because I don't want to not hear it anymore. But, it kind of takes a little while for this song to get into like the catchy meat of the song. And it's kind of short-lived, and then it comes back. And, okay, see if you agree with me on this one. The backup with the O's and stuff like that in the song, it always reminded me of something that could have come off of like the original like Dumb and Dumber soundtrack with like a lot of presidents of the United States of America. Like, this song is so like mid-90s to me, like
kind of an alternative,
like an alternative, like a Gin Blossoms type thing,
Lemonheads,
and it's so funny because when I was young, You know, there were so many of those good songs from those really good kind of alternative 90s bands.
The Toadies and the Refreshments. And
yeah, they were all on that Dumb and Dumber soundtrack. Okay. And Randy and I would listen to that because it was really good songs, alternative stuff.
Now you're going to send me down a rabbit hole like Della Mitri,
Fastball, you're going to love it. But it was I always thought that could just be put onto an album like that and no one would know the difference, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's such an obvious Springsteen homage that, like, I think it was maybe played here because it's like kind of a Rust Belt song in Pittsburgh. You know,
yeah,
I
agree
think
with
that was
that.
kind of like a working class area, so like, oh, we'll play this one and it'll hit. But I don't think it got kind of the response that they wanted. Ed misses the cue for the second verse. Mm-hmm. He asked for the lights to come up at the end, and I think they don't. I couldn't tell if the lights came up at all, which I think was weird. So I just don't think it really hit like they expected it to hit, and it kind of like maybe soured on it a little bit.
Yeah. Like I said, it just wasn't. You know, the crowd's great and the performance is great, but it doesn't add anything, unfortunately, here for the set.
Yeah, and I have to say too, I don't think it's coming back anytime soon. I can't see them bringing this one back. I don't hear a big, fan push for like bring Unemployable back.
Especially not with a new album and right. 100 other songs that they haven't played in years that they could easily do that. That will easily, tear the roof off the place, way before this.
I don't even think if they played it, it would be like, oh, cool, they haven't played this in forever. I think it would be like, this one? Really? You're gonna bring back this one? It's a weird one in their catalog. It's probably, it's not a favorite of mine. It's probably in my bottom 10 songs just because it just doesn't, hit like a lot of their material does.
Yeah,
but
and it doesn't hit here either.
It's just a strange song and a strange history live.
Yeah, and a strange place to put it.
Yeah, but they knew that because immediately after we get back to the crowd pleasers, we're getting to the end of the main set here with Wygo, Daughter, and another couple of debuts. We get a debut of Infallible and a debut of Let the Records Play.
Yeah. It's because of what came before it. Unemployable, Sirens. This Wygo just comes out of nowhere, and it's good, but it's a little disorienting at the same time. It's like, okay, are they going to be doing like maybe one or two songs after this, or what is Wygo doing here? And with Daughter and Infallible, it kind of makes Wygo here a little bit even more confusing.
And the first song from 10 as well, the only song from 10 in this main set.
Right. And, I like it because it sounds good. But the one thing I thought, and I don't know if you would agree with me, but, this could just be a day one thing. Jeff doesn't have that really good bass tone. I feel like it wasn't dialed in as well in the beginning. It was just a little thin. And I need that bass intro, So that was just like, that was really, besides the placement here, and not even its placement, kind of just what comes after it in the rest of this set, which makes Wygo just seem strange here. I mean, I can't say anything else bad about it. Just as a bass player, I had to comment on that I wasn't. Jeff's tone on this is usually just unbelievable, and this one was a little. Yeah. Just dial it in. You got an entire tour. You'll find the sweet spot there. That
could be a
effects.
Thing in the mix too in the recording. They're first night of tour. They're still figuring things out with microphones and all that. Amps. He's gonna get that dialed in soon.
Yeah. It's all about the room and everything like that. I usually can't go. 2 or 3 gigs without getting into a room where like one of my pedals sounds. It was like, oh, it was perfect last night. It sounds like garbage now, and like on the fly, you got to just adjust some tone or some drive or whatever it is. So I get it. And like I said, I've never heard Jeff's bass really sound bad on this song ever. So it's a day one thing, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, this Daughter is a little interesting too because. We get some call and response. Actually, the crowd starts the call and response.
ready for the call and response at this show.
They
were
don't even
ready.
let Ed get into a tag. They're like, no, we're doing this. And he follows up with it.
Yes.
I think it sounded like he yelled out Sonic Youth. I don't know if he saw a Sonic Youth T-shirt or something.
Oh, interesting.
In the verse somewhere. I'll have to go back and listen to that. But he starts talking about Franco, Let's Go, which again, Pittsburgh, we get a Franco Harris reference here, something that, from the 70s when Ed was a kid. So that was cool. And then I really like these debuts. I think Infallible is a great song from Lightning Bolt. Another Stone lead, which was really cool. It does kind of fall apart at the end, which is fine. It's the first time you're playing it. And then Let the Records Play again's got that really kind of swampy Stone stomp to it.
Yeah, Infallible, this was a stellar version. And it's a song that I rather enjoy. So I wasn't really going to pick it apart at all, even if they totally bunted on it, but they didn't. It was like it's been around forever.
Left at the crime. Our ship's coming and it's sinking of everything that's possible in the hearts and minds of men. When progress could be plausible.
Sounded so good. Cameron has perfect tempo, perfect pace on this, and I thought specifically the vocals in the chorus were a highlight of the song to me.
Yeah, I think a lot like Pendulum 2, I think Infallible hints a lot of what you would hear, a lot of the themes on Gigaton. I think it's one that I wouldn't be surprised to see mixed in with some of the Gigaton songs on the tour. I think it fits in thematically with a lot of that stuff, especially your Quick Escapes and 7 O'Clocks and Retrogrades and things like that. I think it would fit in nicely with those.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm like kind of hearing that in my head now. Like I get that. With Let the Records Play, it's super fun. It's such a fun little bop, but I did not need it here in this spot. I hated it here. I hated it here in this spot.
Yeah, they hadn't quite learned to pair it with Spin the Black Circle. I think if you had gotten to Spin the Black Circle here after, it would have anchored it a little bit. Instead, you get An Unthought Known. It felt a little lonely here by itself.
But they're having fun, like Stone's bopping, and you get a great little Mike Shredathon at the end. It sounds awesome, but I hate it here.
To close out the main set here, and we've talked about Jeff a lot. We got to talk about Jeff on this rearview mirror, doing these runs during the bridge. That was fantastic.
this song just kind of never dies. This version of it, it's the momentum that Cameron keeps is perfect, and Jeff is, like you said, he's picking up on Cameron, who Mike is picking up on Jeff, Stone's picking up on Mike. Everything's going around. You got the dark stage there. It's very 90s feeling. It's very angsty on stage. This song is just like it's 0 to 60, and then it goes from 60 to 100, and there's no break. It just doesn't stop. And they're firing on all cylinders here. And I was saying that this was like a Cameron show for me. And everyone had their moments in this set where everyone was doing something really cool for sure. And then Rearview Mirror, this Rearview Mirror is where everyone in the band is firing on all cylinders. It was the perfect way to close this set out. That was a weird set for me. And this is just like, this is the bread and butter Rearview Mirror. This is the Rearview Mirror that I want. This is the perfect Rearview Mirror.
Ed, you get Ed running around the stage, dancing around like a madman at the end.
Yeah,
that was
crazy.
hilarious.
Yeah.
He is into it.
I think it was also, not to jump ahead, I think it was also in Porch too, but Jeff is just like, it's like he's running laps. Like you almost think he's gonna run out of, like, where are you going? Like, where are you finding this room?
He does that thing where he kind of does that drop step, like he's gonna go up for a slam dunk, like it's the basketball thing.
Yeah.
He does, and then he does, like, he'll do those little base jumps and like, oh, it's so good.
It's so funny because Mike does this thing where he looks like he's about to fall into the stage and he makes his way up to the front, but Jeff always did this thing where he finds like an Olympic track on stage and runs it. And it's like, where are you going? Like, how are you finding room? It's pitch black. And all of a sudden he'll just come out of the shadows. And it's just like, where were you? I love that.
Yeah, really, really good Rearview Mirror. What a great way to end. Because, like you said, it's a hit or miss type of main set, but having Rearview Mirror here just wraps it all up. Very nicely.
And so, it did have moments in this first set where the vibe was perfect. Was exactly, yeah.
Well, we'll get to our 3 moments at the end. You might hear some of those that we've talked about. But here, let's take a little break and talk about Patreon. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because you guys have heard me, every week go on and on about this. But I do want to mention, if you're a listener of the show and you're interested in supporting the show, we do have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com, search for Live on 4 Legs, or go to the Patreon app. You can find us there. We have different tiers. If you want to donate $1, $5, $10, all the stuff is there for you. We have a ton of bonus episodes, all this bonus content that we're throwing up there. The Evolution episodes that we've been doing, the Devo episodes, where we just kind of do little fun things. We have set list drafts that we're going to be picking up doing a little later this year. So please go to Patreon, check it out. If you feel like that's something you want to do, jump on that $1 tier. It does help support the show. All the money goes back into the show. We're going to be going. We're already talking about things we're going to be doing when the tour comes back. We're going to be going super big, try to get to as many shows as possible, and get some great content for you guys over there. So, anything you want to say about Patreon, Matt? I don't want to leave you out of this section.
I do want to say something. Even I donate. So get in there.
He does.
Show your support.
He does. Former host of the show.
I think I even set it up.
Yeah, and Randy, if he can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, exactly. And Randy texted me. He's like, "Hey, why'd you donate? You made the password." I was like, "It's fine." But no, it's super fun. Listen, when Randy and I first started this, and we had the meetups and the meet and greets and stuff in Boston and other stuff like that. It is so much fun, and just to be in the know of that stuff and to be able to do it again, which I very much look forward to.
Yeah, we can't wait. Yeah.
I mean, what's the whole point of this is half the stories people tell you about these shows and going to see Pearl Jam are the friendships they made. So if you donate $1, you're going to know where they are at these shows, and you're going to make friends. It's the whole point. You're going to see shows with people. You're going to talk. You're going to sing. You're going to drink. You're going to dance. It's so fun. I can't recommend it enough. For $1, you're gonna make tons of new memories, and you get to meet these guys over here, which is a plus. Randy's very interesting. He's always got a lot to say, and you guys, you'll talk Pearl Jam forever. He's the one to find to talk Pearl Jam with, and John, same with you. Find these guys, donate, and have a great time. And also, what was the episode, that side episode that you, Randy, and I had done? Were we talking about recording, or?
Yeah, we did a Devo episode where we talked about some of the coolest kind of studio moments.
Was. Listen, I don't. Do you invite people on to do that? I don't remember.
Depending. Depends on how it goes.
If anyone wants to ever do an episode like that, I highly recommend, because it's like, it's so low stress. It's basically you're just kind of hanging out. It's almost like you're on a couch together, and you're like, oh, what's cool? What's really cool about this? Blah 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 blah. And no stress, super fun. I loved doing that episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's something too. And this episode was a request from one of our patrons, Chris Davis. I'll mention it again.
Yeah,
and thanks to him for doing that. Yeah, and,
such a perk.
And if that's something that you're interested in, if there's if there's a show that you've been to that you think was underrated, or if there's a classic show that you want to hear us talk about, jump on the Patreon, donate, and we, for the $5 tier or the $10 tier, you get to pick an episode. And yeah, we've had a lot of our patrons come on and talk about shows, and yeah, we always appreciate that. So yeah, fantastic. Let's get back into it here. They come back out. A little bit of a curveball here, where you would think first night of tour they're going to come out and play the hits. You would think like maybe a Just Breathe or something like that, but comes out and starts with Speed of Sound, which had already kind of become a rare song after the Backspacer era. So we get Speed of Sound to open here, and it's to mild applause, I'll say. Like, not many people in the crowd knew this one or expected it, I think.
Probably not, and I don't care, because you know what? They're all out. It's Speed of Sound, Yellow Moon, and Footsteps here. I love this. This was so. Stop. Everyone go listen to these three. Jump ahead into Encore 1. Listen to this slow open with the full band. It is so good. So good. It's low key, but with drums. Everything is spot on with it, with this whole run. I love it.
Speed of Sound is an interesting one, because it gets kind of buried in that second half of Backspacer, and you never think about it. But
and it's not even like particularly a fantastic song either.
Right.
It sounds great here, and what it works with these other two songs it's perfect. I love this.
I think they released the demo version. I think it was back when Backspacer came out. If you went, there was some online treasure hunt, and if you went and found all these sites, you got to download a demo of Speed of Sound, like just an Ed acoustic demo. I think you could probably find it on YouTube now,
probably.
But it's really good, kind of. Like, this song, I think it was just kind of ruined by the Backspacer production and like the kind of gloss and sheen that got put on everything. But I think this could have been an interesting kind of moodier song, and yeah, this was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I loved it.
I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but yeah, another debut here, the last debut of the night. Yellow Moon sounds fantastic.
First time we played this one, so give us a little something. Here far away, one could feel the earth vibrate. Changing
another one that really, it found a home here in this little first part of the encore and fits perfectly.
And that is a great song. And Yellow Moon is a great song. know, Speed of Sound, I'll take it, especially when it's played like this. Like, after a weird set one and you come off of like Rearview Mirror, I'm like, all right, so these three are going to be, they might be Eddie Alone or something, and it might just kind of suck the air out of the room for me here. And then you're into an encore that it's like, oh, maybe I don't really care for the encore either, but not at all. Not at all. It is really, really good.
Yeah, Ed sounds great on it. Mike sounds great on it.
Yeah, and even Footsteps here, which follows Yellow Moon, is like, it's perfect for this vibe because you don't really notice it, but like Footsteps does kind of subtly build up. Maybe not an extreme build to what comes after Footsteps, but it's enough. It's enough to get you out of that 3-song stretch there.
Yeah, and you needed a big crowd sing along after Speed of Sound and Yellow Moon.
It's great.
Because those are ones that people, they don't really know. Like I said, Speed of Sound doesn't really get a big crowd reaction. But Footsteps, yeah. And again, a really good moody kind of version of Footsteps here. I think
it's really good.
It really fit with the vibe of the show very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get kind of the big hometown crowd moment here. Ed comes out and says,
all right. We have a very, very special guest here tonight, and I just thought you might want to say hi to him, and I know he'd like to say hello to you. Yeah. We all wish he was in Los Angeles right now, but he's gonna get him next year, and he's become a good friend of mine, good friend of ours. And he's a team player and a hero all the way around. It's good to see you still alive. Jason Grilly, everyone.
This thing on? I know you guys are loud because the night we had, the several nights we had here in Pittsburgh, I've never, ever been a part of anything like that in attendance or playing for people that are so passionate about their sports and about their Pittsburgh Pirates. And I'll tell you what, we wear our hearts on our sleeve here, don't we? I love this city. I love you guys. I will pitch my balls off for you. We'll play our hearts out for you. Because next year, it's our fucking year. Do it! Do it!
And we get Pittsburgh Pirates relief ace, I'll say, at the time. Jason Grilly comes out. And...
Oh, sorry, I'm laughing.
How should I? Yeah, how do we describe what he does?
All right,
he is fired up. I'll play it, but
this guy is all right. I'm getting the Howard Dean vibes with the voice crack. I was laughing so hard, and I wrote in my notes, and it's such an obvious thing for me to write. I said, you can tell when people aren't used to being on stage with a microphone. This is what happens.
Being a pitcher, you have to have you have to have stone running through your ice running through your veins.
It's a different stage,
be used
man.
To these. Oh, yeah.
It's a different stage. Some people just they can't hear their own voice. They don't want to do it, And this guy one didn't give a shit and just went with it, man. And then he's got kind of like his Party City Eddie Halloween costume on. Like it's like almost the exact same like flannel shirt over the open shirt. He's got the ball cap on.
And
what I liked about it was, so this is during whipping, by the way, and he's on stage the whole time.
That was his walk-up music or his intro music, I think, when he would come into the game, I believe. That's why They did it here, if I remember that correctly.
It was probably his favorite song because this guy was hyped. He could have filled in. He could have been the mascot. This guy was all over the place.
He's vamping around. He's air guitarring. Like,
you know what I wrote? I wrote he's just a big dork, and I love it.
Yeah, he's basically playing the boss tone.
Yeah.
The dancer. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones had that guy that just dances
around.
The guy
that dances around.
He's the hype man on this one. Yeah.
I just love how he's like I'm gonna pitch. He's like I'm gonna pitch the shit out of it, or he's like I'm gonna pitch my balls off for you guys or something.
Yeah.
And then I think he was only on the Pirates for like literally that season. I think he was off of them by 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
This is funny, and it was, this sometimes would be something that would just be like what are you like? This is so stupid. I don't. If it's not someone that maybe has some sort of emotional thing, and they're sitting in on like or they made like a set, and there's like this kind of emotional moment, or if there's like a fan coming on stage to hold some paper or to get his hair cut or something like that. I'm like, I don't care about you being on stage right now, but he's such a dork that it's like, yeah. And Whipping is the best song to have him up there for. It just doesn't matter. Let him have fun.
And again, I think a lot of it is it's 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
We can't have him on stage for Immortality or Better Man where it's going to be 6 or 7 minutes.
Well, did you notice also it looked like when Eddie kind of like pushed him off the stage, like he was like kind of upset, like he didn't want to go. Eddie gives him his guitar to like take off the stage, like to give to the tech, and he's like
okay,
all right.
your time's
he's
up
like, thank
now.
you,
Please
and
go away.
He's kind of like, oh man.
Yeah, he was a little bummed out, but
I mean,
man,
I'm sure you would be bummed out too.
Yeah, definitely. But you had your moment, dude. And again, act like you've been there. That's the thing in sports. Act like you've been there before.
Act like you've been there. Yeah, great way to say it.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish out this Encore 1 with some crowd favorites again. We're gonna get back into it with Do the Evolution, Better Man, and Porch. A lot of good crowd participation. A lot of good call and response. Getting the kind of big rock portion of the show here.
Yeah, Evolution. This was this was a version right here. This was great vibe and great spot. I could have used this in set 1, but honestly, I'd be really afraid of what would be surrounding it in set 1, and if it would just kind of kill the vibe. And Whipping Do the Evolution, Better Man here is just like, that's a bread and butter spot. That's where it's going to thrive, and. The great moment with the extended kind of guitar call and response with Stone's moment there. That's always fun to have. The band is absolutely crushing the performance on this one too. It was almost like they were like, it was like they were backstage and they're like, you know what we're really excited to do tonight? Evolution. Like that's how they were playing it. Like they thought that morning, like, I think Evolution is going to be on fire tonight. That's what I was getting from them. Eddie is a little all over the place vocally on this one, but it's not bad. It's just like it's like a fuck it. Like I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna crack. It's not one of those ones where you're like, oh my god, he's so off key. This was more just pushing it forward. And I don't know if you noticed, but he did that thing where he ran behind again over by Matt, and when he ran back to the front, he kind of taps his guitar stand and the guitar falls off the stand and he goes,
the guitar falls down. He tries to save it. And the tech has to go run and retune it real quick.
You got to tune that bad boy. You got to make sure a string didn't pop, but because he needs it for the next song. I mean, this next song's all him, but the guitar falls and he kind of like the way he looks up, kind of, it's almost like, I don't know if he was like looking for someone to blame, but it's like, as far as I could tell, dude, you did that. You ran through the drums. Like, that was your fault,
Yeah.
But
it'll throw you off a little bit. Anything like that, it'll get you in your head for a moment. Like, you kind of like, you lose yourself for a minute because you're worried about this thing that's not the show. And it can mess with your head a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're going into something, right after Evolution here. You got to be ready.
Yeah. And that something is Better Man. Again, the crowd takes it. This fantastic Pittsburgh crowd on the beginning of the tour.
Yeah.
Ed's doing the just riffing on Save It for Later, going off, has like the big rock ending. I thought, either one of these last three here, Evolution, Betterment, and Porch, they all could have ended this encore. That he just builds and builds and builds, and then
It's great.
on Porch, when Mike comes in on Porch and he just lets that note hang.
Oh
this
yeah,
show, I
lights
thought.
go down. But there's I don't really have anything to say on Better Man because when it's good, it's great. I'll
Yeah.
I'll always take it, especially in this placement. I also like it a lot when it closes out like a first set. I was also at the show where it was played like number 4, which was really cool too. So I don't care where it is. I always said I don't really need a big tag in Better Man. It's always appreciated. I really like it. I'm more of that like Let's Play 2 where it's just like give me a Mike solo at the end of Better Man, like because his solos on Better Man are always so catchy. They're so uplifting. They're so happy. It really drives it home. And the best part about this one is you get both. So like fantastic,
What would you think about Better Man as an opener? If they just come out,
Oh, do it.
open up with Better Man. I think they've done it a few times. Again, I have to go back to Live Footsteps.
Give me
that
Better
out.
Man as an opener with no tag and a Mike solo.
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm there every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Yep.
Excellent. And again, a really good version of Porch. Like I said, the Mike solo is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The orbs are all down, which we would come to associate with this couple of years of touring. And again, another Springsteen reference. Ed talks about Pittsburgh again, and they're coming back for, like I said, Bread and Butter Encore 2.
Oh yeah.
and we started off with Black.
Yeah, you got to play Black here. I think they were waiting for it for a long time. Glad they saved it here for like the bread and butter area. It's kind of an old faithful second encore. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's
like a warm hug.
Yeah, all the encore moments are perfect. The encore moments in the show are it's what you go for. I'll put it that way. It's what you wait 7 years for. It's what you travel overnight to see the next night. You know, it's right here. Perfect performances in all these moments, and you know, Mike is taking the solo to another level.
That's exactly what I wrote. Yeah.
Oh, it's another level. And yeah, it's just return to form here, and it's and you know me, it's like I've gotten Black like so many times, and it's like if I, you know, it's not that I don't like Black. It's just if it comes up, it comes up. But this one, again, this is one of those ones where it's like, well, I wish I get one like that, you know.
Yeah, Ed holds that B line for forever, and then the tag is like it's a did we belong together? We're asking a question instead of talking. So it's really cool whenever he switches that up. So yeah, really good version of Black. Then we finish it up with Party Time, Alive.
It's party time. Let's
Rockin'
go.
in the Free World and Yellow Ledbetter. Yeah. And here we go. Yeah. Rockin' in the Free World, I thought too. Again, we're gonna get, he changes it to gold, black, and blue again for the Pirates.
Yep.
We get a boom solo on Rockin' in the Free World.
Finally.
Rockin' in the free world.
Thought that was very, very good. And I think too, I want to talk about a little bit because, you know, we talk about Mike a lot, we talk about Jeff a lot, but there's a moment in Rockin' in the Free World where Jeff picks up, I don't know if they're Mike's picks or if they're his, and he picks up his pick and he throws them at Mike. I don't know if he was kind of trolling him, like, hey, you always throw picks in the crowd, I'm going to throw these at you. The Jeff and Mike bromance is in full effect at the show. They are just having a blast on their little side over there.
Yeah,
playing off each other. That's something we don't talk about a lot on the show. We sometimes mention it in Evolution. You know, you'll see them do they'll do the communion thing. They'll kind of cross each other and do the little fake communion. But you can tell that Jeff and Mike are best buds at this show. It's great to see.
It's true, and it's so funny that you say that because we, you know, doing gigs, sometimes we have some weird places we have to play. Like, it was like, I don't know, just for an example, it was like 2 or 3 weeks in a row where it wasn't our normal setup. There was like a DJ in the middle of us, or there was a bar, or there was this or that, you know, coming back with all these like backyard weddings. There was something strange going on, and my guitar player and I, who I've been working with, you know, forever now, we are normally standing next to each other, and it was like a few weeks ago after all these kind of weird stage setups for God knows what reason. It was just one after another. And we were playing and we're setting up next to each other. We were like, dude, I fucking missed you, man. Like we just weren't next to each other, you know? It was like it was weird. It was just like, all right, we're back where we're supposed to be. We're in our spots, you know? Yeah, I get it, man. The bromance is real.
Yeah, it's just really fun to see. Like, they're having a blast at the show. You can tell they're glad to be back on tour, and they're glad to be back doing their thing. Ed says it won't be another 7 years before we play Pittsburgh again. Guess what? It would have been. I think Pittsburgh was on the 2020 list of shows that got canceled. Was it? Or I think they would have played there in 2020.
I would have assumed. I don't remember.
Yeah. And then we close it out with a really great version of Yellow Ledbetter. And that is the show.
Yeah. That end, it's great. It's great.
So we always do our 3 moments here. So
right.
You being the OG here, what were your 3 moments from the show?
You know, I thought I had them, but I actually switched a few. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go in any particular order because like I said, I was kind of switching some stuff up as we went, as we talked about it. Given to Fly is great. It's such a good version. It's it's a song you get a lot, and sometimes you sing along to it, and you're just like, okay, on to the next one. But the performance here was perfect. It was spot on. Sirens. I thought Sirens was, oh my God, it's a live debut, and it's like they had been doing it for years and years. Eddie's vocals on Sirens was just phenomenal, just perfect. And there's a lot of things here. Like I honestly think this was like my favorite Mind Your Manners ever. It was perfect. Animal was good, but it was weird in this spot. Untitled MFC, always happy to see, always happy to get. Great performance, and the encore, the Speed of Sound, Yellow Moon, Footsteps. I adored that. I thought it was great. But I think my number 3 has to go to. It's got to go to Pendulum, another live debut. That opener, they take the chance with it, they shoot their shot, and it's fucking perfect. It is absolutely perfect. So yeah, Given to Fly, Sirens, Pendulum, 2 live openers. 2 live debuts, 1 live opener that sticks around. I love it.
You're making me kind of rethink mine.
Well,
we're uncannily similar here.
Those are changes I made because you kind of changed my mind while we went.
I have Given to Fly as number 3. Kind of in the even flow spot there. I thought it really elevated the middle of the set. It really anchored that part of it together and really led to, and again, leading off that Yield mini set, which was very cool. Sirens, I thought that's my number 2. Like you said, Ed, absolutely feeling a great version for a debut. I thought
perfect version.
Hit the ground running on that.
It's their live debut. It could be after doing the show and listening to the show. I think this live debut could even be maybe my favorite Sirens I've ever heard.
And they hadn't gotten to the point where they were doing the reprise of it, like where Ed comes back and sings the outro and gets the crowd going. But I don't think you miss it here. I don't think you
don't because everything else is so good.
And I was gonna go with something early, Pendulum or Other Girl, but we got to mention this Jason Grilly moment on Whipping. That's gonna be because it's good. It lightens the mood of the show after kind of a like a moody kind of night where you get some kind of off the beaten path performances. Not in a bad way, just
no, not in a bad way.
What you expect, but this Whipping, I was cracking up watching him, and
it's a tight whipping
one of those
too.
Classic moments from this show, really good.
Super tight. They don't fall off or anything. They keep the pace. They keep that speed going. Yeah,
I don't see how with the distraction of him dancing around the stage like an idiot.
I agree.
What are you gonna rate this one?
All right, so I'm so torn, and I don't want to do, I guess I would have like an average rating for it because I have 2 thoughts on this. So I love the risks taken, and I really appreciate the you gotta build your world here. You got a tour going on. You're debuting songs. You're mixing them in with songs that you have been doing for a while. How are they going to work together? How are they going to work with each other? It's not like placing them on an album. You're working with your other albums. You're working with the crowds. You're working with this and that. But I really, really, really hate the order of setlist 1. I really don't like it, and it was like it wasn't enough to turn me off from the show at all. But it was definitely sticking out to me because we've seen some set lists that are just like they can't get any better. So this one really stuck out to me as just not being a great constructed set list. So if I had to go like set list rating, I gotta go like 7, and that's generous. But I can't not do this because you know how rare it is for me. Performance wise, this show is a 10 beyond 10s. The performance of this band on this show is better than as a whole. It's not like, oh, this song is performed well, this song's performed well. Altogether, since you have some really good performances, it's a good performance. No, every song is perfect. And I got it. So I got to give it like a set list rating, and I got to give it a performance rating because it's doing a disservice to just say 7 because the set list isn't good. It's a 10 because the performance is unbelievable. You got to listen to it.
Are we averaging them out? Or are you giving it an 8.5? Were you averaging those?
I could go 8.5, but I want it to be very clear that I put 10 down for something here. I have to make that clear.
Okay. You can do that.
Yeah.
The only rule is that there are no rules.
Yeah. Performance-wise, my God, this is woo.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff.
One of the absolute best. Loved it.
I think I'm with you, kind of in that range. Not at a 10. I think this show, it's really good for a tour opener. They were still feeling some stuff out. I can't put it in the upper echelons of your 9s and 10s. I think it doesn't have a lot of those classic moments. I think a lot of that is set list related. Like, it just doesn't have a lot of those. I mean, those pillars, like those heavy moments that you sometimes get in these shows.
It's got some for sure, but it's got some.
It's got some. Yeah. So I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Okay.
Kind of mid it. It's nothing bad about it. It didn't. I enjoyed watching it and enjoyed listening to it. But it's probably not one that I'll go back to regularly. Is like, wow, that was like an epic moment show, you know.
Yeah. It was like one of those ones. I like to listen to it in the car when I go to gigs and stuff because I like to have it like surrounded. And when I'm coming home from like a long drive, it's like that's where I'm. My parents always say they get kind of worried when I'm leaving a venue in like New Jersey and I have like a 2-hour ride home and it's late and all this stuff. I'm like, no, that's where I'm like my most focused,
Oh, yeah, I always used to love driving at night after shows.
I'm zen. I'm good to go then. So that is when I put this on. That's when I listened to this. It was like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive home from Jersey one night. I started it off on my way there, and then I finished it on my way back, and it was just dark. It was quiet, open road, and I was like immersed in this thing. And I'm like, nice. This performance is so goddamn good, but the set list was like, it was like making me work. It was like, I'm like, it really was so obvious that I did not care for the placements at all. But every song that came on, it was just like, it was like having a really bad shuffle on where every song is going to sound unbelievable, but you're not happy with where they end up. So. But yeah,
the Spotify algorithm.
The algorithm,
not
it's like
well
like you do not know what I liked. What are you doing? But again, I cannot say it enough. The performances in the show, my God, listen to it. Take this show, cut it up, and shuffle the show. Don't listen to it straight through how it is because you're just gonna get some of the best versions of some of your favorite songs. And maybe it'll shuffle it around into a better set list. Who knows?
Yeah.
But again, and I don't even want to even criticize that too much because, like we said, they're working with new songs against old songs against album songs. So it was good. It was a good listen though. I enjoyed it. Oh, and I promised Randy I would say this show always had one of my all-time favorite posters too.
Okay. Excellent.
Oh, the guy
Excellent.
with the what do you call that? It's like the molten lava. He's pouring it in, right? That was the show, right?
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Cool.
It's a good one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh again. Like you're getting kind of a Rust Belt working class feel to the show. So they're playing that up a lot here. Well, Matt, we did it, man.
We did it.
I want to thank you for taking the time and coming back on the show. I really appreciate it. It was a huge help. You were one of the ones that like when we found out that Randy was going to be out, I was like, I want to do one with Matt. So I was glad we were able to make the time. I know you're very busy.
Oh man,
is there anything you want to promote?
Oh gosh, let me see.
Where people can find you?
Yeah, you know what? I got something kind of fun. Normally when we do this, it's just like it's just weddings, So I do
get married, and Matt can come.
I'll see you there.
Hang out with Matt. Yeah.
No, but I got this really fun thing. So after COVID, everything kind of shut down, and there was a lot of stuff going on that I was doing that I wasn't sure was going to come back. And this one thing is actually coming back. It's called Rock and Roll Playhouse, and I'm just going to promote it for all over. They're everywhere. They're in Chicago. They're in Austin. I think they're in Atlanta as well. They have them in like major cities, and what it is it's hour-long shows for kids. So here in New York, we do them at Industry City in Brooklyn. We do them at the Brooklyn Ball. Sometimes we set up like around the holidays, tree lighting and stuff like that. We play over at Rockefeller Center. and they're usually free. If they're not free, they're like probably like $10 or whatever. It depends on the venue that you're at. And they get bands like myself, and we go and we do an hour-long show for kids, and there's a theme. So it'll be like the music of the Beatles, or on Saturday I'm doing the music of Stevie Wonder, and then the Saturday after that I'm doing the music of Billy Joel. So you go, there's activities, we have, there's like songs we do ribbons to, we have the parachute game, we have the freeze game, we have limbo, and it's set to your favorite songs from these artists. So it is a lot of fun. If you have young kids, they get to run around, wear out, put them down for a nap after. You'll have a nice quiet afternoon. Let me take care of the hard work.
I certainly do. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So look it up. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. All that stuff. It's called the Rock and Roll Playhouse. And if you're in New York, come check us out. We're on the schedule on the 17th. I believe it's 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and that's at Industry City. We'll be playing some Stevie Wonder. Bring your kids. It's a great time. I love promoting these guys because they do a lot of charity stuff. They do a lot of great work, and it's all about the music for the kids, and it's such a good thing to do with your family. It's so much fun. You tell people, oh, I do the show for kids, and they're like, oh, you're at like a daycare getting like basketballs thrown at your head. This is so much fun. We love it, and I encourage everyone to look up the Rock and Roll Playhouse. It's great. It's a great time.
Awesome. I'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we should mention too, we're planning on doing another Zoom party sometime in August, where we're going to be building up towards that here, especially, when Randy comes back on the show in August, where you'll be hearing some more details about this.
Oh,
but
yeah.
hopefully we're going to be able
back
to
day for Randy.
get your band to come play the next Patreon Zoom party that we're going to do, where we talk about, revealing our website that we've been working on and everything. So we'll see you soon. You won't have a long absence from the Live on Four Legs universe for this time.
Yeah, we were upset because things kind of like fell apart at the end there, but we were glad that it kind of like everything was seeming a little rushed. So we were like, okay, good. Like we'll have time now for the next one. Let's really get it together here. So yeah. Hopefully we'll see you then. And I'm glad we were able to get this in today. I was that little storm that came through, man, almost put a stick in the spokes there. And
that Hurricane Elsa, whatever was
we got in New York, we got the tail end of it, but it caused a little bit of damage where I was at, so it put me behind, and here we are. We got it done. I'm very excited.
Excellent.
I couldn't not talk about how well the band played this night. I had to get it out.
So this is the point where we normally do we may be parting ways. We're here, but not for much longer. Miss you already. I don't know the whole spiel. I'm usually tuned out by the time Randy does that, honestly. I'm trying to think of the thing I'm going to say at the end here. But with that, I'll give you a little teaser for next week. Next week we'll be going back to 1994 to cover the show in Springfield, Massachusetts. I believe that was another Patreon request. I'm going to be joined by Anthony from Touring Fan Live. So stay tuned for that next week. And thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you guys then.
Thanks, guys.
The siren, hear the sirens, hear the sirens, hear the circus so profound. I hear the sirens more and more in this here town. Catch my breath and reach for you across the wind. Just to know we're safe, I am a grateful man. This light is big or light, and I can see you clear. Have to take your hand and feel your breath, for fear this someday will be over. I pull you close, so much to lose, knowing that nothing lasts forever.
Thanks very much.